The Bible isn't full of perfect people, it's full of broken people, who were still chosen by God. Some doubted, some failed, some ran away, but God still called them, still used them. And through their stories, we see a picture of His grace. Let's take a deep dive into the lives of 7 Bible characters, and what their stories reveal about your own. Moses was raised in Pharaoh's palace, but fled after killing a man. He spent 40 years in the wilderness, hiding from his past. When God called him from the burning bush, he said, "Who am I to speak? I can't talk well." Moses had a stutter, he had fear, and he had baggage. But God didn't ask for perfection. He asked for obedience. Moses would go on to part the Red Sea, receive the 10 Commandments, and lead an entire nation out of slavery. Reflection. If God can use a runaway with a speech problem, He can use you. Rahab was a prostitute in Jericho, but she heard about Israel's God, and believed. When Israelite spies came to her city, she risked everything to hide them. Because of her faith, her life was spared, and she became part of the family of God. Not only that, she became the great-great-grandmother of Jesus. Reflection. Your past doesn't disqualify you. Faith does what religion can't. It restores. David was a man after God's heart, but also a man who committed adultery and murder. He took another man's wife, then tried to cover it up. He failed, big time. But when the prophet confronted him, David didn't excuse it. He repented. "Create in me a clean heart, O God," he cried, and God restored him. Reflection. God doesn't cancel people who truly repent, He renews them. Elijah called down fire from heaven. He defeated 850 false prophets, but the very next day, he ran away in fear. He sat under a tree and begged God to take his life. Burnout, depression, exhaustion. This prophet had seen miracles, and still wanted to quit. But God didn't scold him. He whispered to him, restored him, and gave him a new mission. Even when you're burned out, God is still speaking, not in the fire but in the whisper. Peter walked on water and sank. He said he'd die for Jesus, then denied Him 3 times. When the rooster crowed, Peter wept bitterly. But after the resurrection, Jesus looked him in the eyes and said, "Feed my sheep." He forgave him, restored him. And on the day of Pentecost, Peter preached, and 3,000 were saved. Your worst moment doesn't define you. God's mercy does. Mary Magdalene was once possessed by 7 demons, but Jesus set her free. From that moment on, she followed Him everywhere. She was the first to the tomb, and the first to see the risen Christ. A woman once bound became the first witness to the greatest event in history. Reflection. God takes those who were bound and turns them into messengers. Before he was Paul, he was Saul, a man who hunted Christians, dragged them from their homes, and stood by while they were killed. But one day on the road to Damascus, Jesus stopped him, blinded him, then opened his eyes. Paul went on to write most of the New Testament. He was beaten, jailed, shipwrecked, but never stopped preaching. Reflection. Grace doesn't just forgive, it transforms. Every one of these people had a flaw, a failure, a broken past, but God didn't choose them because they were flawless. He chose them because they were willing. And the same God who called them is calling you. Don't wait to be perfect, just say yes, because broken vessels still carry living water, and grace always writes the best stories. Which Bible character do you relate to most? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep, faith-filled content.